Chapter 10. Colin Goes into the Secret Garden. But the children had to wait for more than a week. The next few days were very windy, and then Colin got a cold. Normally, when things did not happen the way he wanted, Colin had big tantrums. But the children were so busy planning his visit to the secret garden that Colin did not have time to get upset. At last, the day they had been waiting for came. Colin sent for Mrs. Medlock in the morning. "I am going out in my wheelchair this afternoon," he said. "If I like the fresh air, I may go out every day. When I go, all the gardeners must stay away from the kitchen gardens. I will go out at about 2 o'clock. I will tell them when they can go back to their work." Mrs. Medlock had almost gasped in surprise when Colin started talking. He had always said that fresh air would give him a cold and kill him. "Things are changing in this house," Mrs. Medlock said to the nurse after she had left Colin's room. "That girl from India has done something to Master Colin. I don't know what it is, but there's something different about him." After lunch, the nurse helped Colin to get dressed, and a servant carried him downstairs to his wheelchair, while Mary walked behind. Dickon was waiting outside. The nurse and the servant arranged Colin's rugs and cushions, and then they went back inside. When they had gone, Dickon began to push the wheelchair slowly and carefully. Mary walked next to it, and Colin lay back and looked up at the sky. The small snowy clouds were like white birds floating above the blue. The wind blew softly down from the moor, bringing a sweet, clear smell. "What's that smell?" Colin asked. "It's the gorse on the moor opening out," answered Dickon. "The bees will be busy today." The gardeners had all gone, as Colin had asked, but when the children arrived at the long walk, they started to whisper. "This is where I used to walk," said Mary quietly. "And this is where the robin showed me the key." Colin's eyes grew bigger and bigger. "And this," said Mary, stepping onto the flower bed and lifting up the ivy, "this is the door." Colin gasped as Mary turned the handle and opened the door. Then Dickon pushed the wheelchair through the door and into the garden. Colin covered his eyes with his hands until the wheelchair had stopped. Only then did he take them away and look round and round. Everywhere there were little patches of gold and purple and white. Little green leaves were growing on the branches and the walls, and all around them they heard birds fluttering their wings. The sun fell on Colin's face like a hand with a lovely touch, and Mary and Dickon stood and stared at him in surprise. He looked so strange and different. A little bit of colour had touched his face and neck and hands. "I shall get well," he cried out. "Mary, Dickon, I shall get well, and I shall live for ever and ever." Dickon and Mary pushed the wheelchair slowly round and round the garden, stopping all the time to show Colin things. They showed him buds that were opening and leaves that were just coming out. They showed him crocuses coming up from the earth. There were so many new things to look at that afternoon. Every hour, the sunshine seemed to get more golden. After a while, Dickon and Mary pulled Colin's wheelchair under the plum tree, which was covered in snow-white blossom. They did a little bit of work in the garden, and Colin watched them. "Look!" cried Dickon suddenly, pointing across the garden at a flash of red. "There's the robin! He's been looking for food for his mate." Colin looked up and saw the robin flying into the trees with a worm in his beak. Then the boy sat back in his chair, laughing a little with happiness. "I don't want this afternoon to end," he said, "but I shall come back tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. I'm going to see everything grow here, and I'm going to grow here myself." "You will," said Dickon. "Soon you'll be walking about and digging here like us." Colin's face went red. "Walk," he said. "Dig. Shall I?" Mary and Dickon looked at each other. They had never asked Colin why he did not walk. They did not know if there was anything wrong with his legs. "Of course you will," said Dickon after a moment. "You've got legs, just like us, haven't you?" "There's nothing wrong with them," Colin answered, "but they are so thin and weak. I'm afraid to stand up because they shake so much." "When you stop being afraid, you'll stand on them," Dickon said. They were all quiet for a little while. The sun was dropping lower in the sky. Even the animals had stopped moving about. Dickon and Mary were both surprised when Colin suddenly said in a frightened whisper, "Who is that man?" Dickon and Mary jumped up. Colin was pointing at the high wall. "Look," he whispered excitedly. "Look!"